Welcome back to Bombastic Nation and Ting and Ting and Ting. Back with some more vibe for you, you know what I mean? And there's a debate that I've seen a little bit. I guess I don't. It was a debate, or if it's something that's based on historical fact or not, or whatever. But there was this little topic going around in my comment section about whether or not Alexander is Greek or Macedonian. Are they the same or are they intrinsically different? I don't know. So somebody's told me, go ahead and watch this video here, see what you think about it and thing, you know what I mean? So what we're going to do is we're going to YouTube and simmer. Go ahead and like the video and share the video, tell your friends and thing well one. Let's check this out. Alexander, Greek or Macedonian?
Hello everyone and welcome to... There's no doubt Alexander was one of the finest commanders of all time. A master tactician and military genius who never lost a battle, who conquered the Persian Empire, became the Pharaoh of Egypt, founded cities, had some Jewish priests point out how he was described in a prophecy in the Bible, spread Greek culture all through the East, its art style even ended up as far away as Japan, defeated massive armies outnumbering his by thousands, and marched as far as India, beating an Indian army that used elephants and wanting to go further. But his soldiers finally said they'd gone far enough, so he went back and died in Babylon, aged 32. What a legend. But why are people unsure if he was Greek or Macedonian? Let's settle this, shall we? If you've ever met a Macedonian, someone from the country just above Greece, they probably won't hesitate for a split second in insisting that Alexander was Macedonian. And they're right, sort of, not in the way they think. Ancient Greece was not a unified country like it is today. It was made up of several independent city-states, like Athens and Sparta and Corinth and Thebes and Rhodes and Larissa, and Macedonia was up the top. While these states weren't joined politically, the inhabitants shared a common language, religion and culture. Now for a long time the Macedonians were mocked and basically seen as the moronic outcasts of the Greek world. You see, unlike most of the other states, Macedonia was not a democracy. They were still ruled by warrior kings like the really ancient Greeks, the Mycenaeans, the ones who fought against Troy in the late Bronze Age, and they still held to uncouth warrior values and old customs like palace culture and kings having multiple wives and so on. In other words, they were backward and behind the times in many regards, and other Greeks thought very little of them. However, under Alexander's father, a brilliant, innovative, one-eyed king called Philip II, Macedonia started getting stronger. He bulked up the Macedonian army and brought about key changes in weaponry and organization, the sort of stuff you need to do when you want to go out and do some conquering. He brought all the key states of Greece under Macedonian control, and thus set the stage for his incredible son. So let's stop here a second and think a bit. We've stated that Macedonia definitely was a part of ancient Greece, however initially despised and purportedly peripheral, and the Macedonians were Greeks as well. Two of the most ancient of Greek writers, Homer and Hesiod, agreed the Macedonians were Greeks, as did the geographers Strabo and Pausanias and numerous other ancient writers. Here's 2 seconds to read a quick argument in favor of the Greekness of ancient Macedonian.
So far the question I have is, why didn't they accept the Macedonians? Is it an ethnic thing, or is it just the fact that they're not civilized and maybe poor, or don't have the same intellect as the rest of Greek? So why weren't they really considered that? Comment down below. Let's get this going.
Mount Olympus was in the region of Macedonia, and Aristotle himself was from the region of Macedonia, and it's hard to get more Greek than him. So why are people confused whether our friend Alex the Great was Greek or Macedonian? It sounds like a pretty silly thing to ask. May as well inquire whether Plato was Greek or Athenian, or whether Leonidas was Greek or Spartan. It's like asking an American, are you American or from New York? Are you an American or from Washington, Oklahoma, or Arizona, or Michigan, or South Carolina? Get it? Stupid. So why do people wonder about it? Well, because of this. For many decades, when a person like you or me glanced at a map of Europe, we saw a country called Greece and a country above it called Macedonia. This therefore made people say, well, Alexander was from a place called Macedonia, so I guess he's Macedonian, not Greek. Wrong. But it's an easy mistake to make. There's something a little fishy about this country that calls itself Macedonia, especially since Greece itself has a region in it called Macedonia, just like it did in ancient times. So how did this place get the name Macedonia then? Well, before we answer this, we have to ask, who on earth are the people that make up this country that calls itself Macedonia? Well, they aren't Greeks. They are in fact Slavs, southern Slavs to be a bit more precise. The ancient Slavs, a fierce warlike people, emerged from the forests and marshlands of Eastern Europe and spread over a massive expanse of land after about the 6th century AD, or CE if you're PC. The Slavs that went south conquered and took over the countries that are now Croatia, Bulgaria, Bosnia-Herzegovina, Serbia, Montenegro, Slovenia, and, yep, Macedonia. They did so in the 6th century. Let me repeat, the 6th century. That means the people who call themselves Macedonian today are Slavs who arrived on the land at least 900 years after Alexander's death. 900 years later. They are therefore not related to the Greek Macedonians any more than they are related to the Athenian Greeks or Theban Greeks or Cretan Greeks or Spartan Greeks. They are Slavs, a Slavic people. So how/why did these Slavs start calling themselves Macedonians? The Slavs that moved into what was once Thrace didn't call themselves Thracians, they called themselves Bulgarians. So what happened? Well, this. The land of ancient Macedonia, as we've seen, was originally a region in the extreme north of the Greek world. Now, after the Romans conquered the area all around, they made the region of Macedonia larger, making lands further north and all about part of a province of the Roman Empire, which they still called Macedonia, even though most of the land was unrelated to the...
Oh, so what's Macedonia today wasn't Macedonia in ancient Greece. So the people that move in there name that place Macedonia, but they're not Greek, they're Slavic. And once they decided to call that place Macedonia, they start saying that Alexander the Great was from Macedonia, pointed to that region and not the region within, at the time, Greece, the Greece states or structures or anything. Ooh, wow. That's kind of cool, to tell you the truth there. Not that they're claiming him, but the fact of how it come to be so. That's interesting.
The ancient Macedonia of Alexander.
See, that's just the thing, you know, how people move places and things change, just like we see through all the videos. You know what I mean? They just move in there and claim something. Makes you question a lot in history, doesn't it?
Centuries later, in the Middle Ages, the land was being fought over by the Byzantine Greeks and Bulgarians until the Ottoman Turks came and snatched it for themselves in the late 14th century. By the 1800s, the Ottoman Empire was weak and well past its prime. Western European powers had modernized and mechanized and conquered the globe, while the Turks were stuck in the medieval era, unable to compete with their powerful neighbors. Nationalism started to grow in the Balkans. Greeks, Serbs, Albanians, Bulgarians, and so on said to themselves, "Why are we still being ruled over by these feeble Turks?" And they started rebellions and wars of independence. The Greeks were first, and they launched a revolutionary war that gained sympathy from all over Europe. Britain, Italy, and Russia helped the Greeks in their struggle, and they succeeded in kicking the Turks out. Later conflicts saw Greece gain more land, including the original Greek Macedonia of Alexander. But the revised geography of the Romans was still alive and well in people's minds. That is to say, people still thought of the big chunk of land above the original Macedonia as Macedonia too. And when revolutionary organizations like IMRO sprang up, they wanted a big state called Macedonia in the Balkans. And though the members of these organizations were originally all Bulgarians, they eventually didn't care about the ethnicity or language of whoever was in the territory, so long as they weren't Turks. Of course, there was a lot of bickering and fighting amid all the mingled nationalities in the wider region, trying to figure out who on earth they were. Hardly any of the Slavic people who today live in the country Macedonia called themselves Macedonian before the First World War, and they mostly thought of themselves as Bulgarians. But they began to be convinced they were different from Bulgarians by the writings of the scholar Hriste Mesirkov, though even he changed his mind about it all a few times. Until Mesirkov, most Slavic Macedonians thought of themselves as Bulgarians. Mesirkov said, "Nope, you're Macedonians." And so the idea of a separate Macedonian national identity began to seriously emerge. After World War I, the Slavic region of Macedonia came under the control of the Serbs, and later joined the other South Slav states, except Bulgaria, in forming the United Kingdom of Yugoslavia. I guess it was supposed to settle squabbles by bringing all the Slavs in southern Europe together, but the king ruling over all of them was a Serb. A kingdom is probably not the best solution to uniting countries, as the king can't be all nationalities at once. Anyway, it didn't last. In World War II, the Germans invaded and occupied it, and then the Soviet Russians invaded as the war was ending. At the end of the war in 1945, the Kingdom of Yugoslavia became the Socialist Federal Republic of Yugoslavia, which is just a formal way of saying, we're commies now. Under the Yugoslav leader Tito, the Macedonian identity and differentiation from Bulgaria was encouraged. In 1946, he made Macedonia a republic, with its capital at Skopje, and encouraged Macedonians to think of their language and historical figures as Macedonian, not Bulgarian or Serbian. Now, why would Tito do this? Well, because he, being a Croat, didn't want Serbs to get too strong. and Macedonia had once been ruled by...
Wow. It's just yes, some political movements and stuff there. This is crazy. Wow. He just, well, no, this is the way it's going to be.
Serbia. So if he could make it that Macedonia was entirely different, not related to Serbia at all, and an equal country in its own right among the Slavic states, it would weaken Serbian claims to the land. Second, Tito did not want the Macedonians to see themselves as Bulgarians. Why? Because Bulgaria wasn't part of Yugoslavia. If you had 1 million people in your land that felt they should be joined with their brothers outside your land, that's not going to be good for unity. And Tito wanted unity, so he promoted the Macedonian identity. Yugoslavia collapsed in the early 1990s when ethnic tensions saw the different countries break away amid wars and all kinds of awful horrors. Anyway, Macedonia managed to peacefully break away from Yugoslavia and became the Republic of Macedonia. And Greece did not like this, especially the Greeks of the true Macedonia, the Greek Macedonia of Alexander. Not only was a strange Slavic country calling itself Macedonia, it had taken the ancient Greek Macedonian symbol of the Helios της Verginas and put it on its flag. Greeks began protesting, and the situation got political. In 1993, the UN said the Republic of Macedonia should be known, for now at least, as the former Yugoslav Republic of Macedonia, or FYROM for short. And the flag was changed to this. But the name issue has not been resolved to this day, and Slavic Macedonians have not given up. Look at this picture of the Macedonian capital Skopje. Look at the statue of the guy on the horse. Officially, this is known as warrior on a horse, but we all know it's meant to be Alexander the Greek, who really has no relation at all to this Slavic former Yugoslav state. So Alexander was Greek. This Macedonia, though some of its territory was part of the ancient land of Macedonia, has for the most part no relation to the ancient Greek region Macedonia, especially as its inhabitants, both the Slavs and Albanians, are not related to the Greeks, and the name Macedonia for this Slavic state is based on misguided historical claims, revised geographical boundaries that just happen to take the name Macedonia, and strategic political schemes introduced by Tito to keep his country as un-Bulgarian as possible. In June 2018, the name issue resurfaced again, with the leaders of Greece and Macedonia attempting to resolve the dispute by calling this Macedonia North Macedonia, something that is seen as unsatisfactory to both sides.
Wow, that is crazy. You know what I mean? But stuff like that is bound to happen. Makes you, like I was saying earlier, makes you wonder which history is real and which isn't. I mean, my man cultivated a whole new thing just to unify his country and to make people believe that that's what it is. Now, us on the outside, who doesn't know the history there, would go, well, yeah, you know, that's Greece over there. But then we don't take into consideration the ethnicity of the people living there, and are they really from there? But then aren't we really from all over the world in that sense? But anyway, thank you all for watching this, man. That was really interesting, really interesting. Thank you for telling me to take a look at it. I'm going to put a link in the description to this video so you all can go check it out without me babbling, and check out the channel that is coming from too. All right, in the meantime, take care of each other. All right, cool runnings.